Good evening, everybody. How are you today? Good? Yeah? Good, good. And hi to you. All right, so today I wanted to talk about how hard it is to achieve our goals. Doesn't it feel really hard sometimes to accomplish the goals that you have in life?
Yes.
Like, how many here are wanting to achieve some kind of goal? You're actively working towards something. Raise your hand. Okay. Now, raise your hand if you feel like it's hard. Raise your hand, and everybody's raising their hand. Raise your hand if you feel like some days you don't know if you're ever really going to pull this off or not. Okay? So, and of course, when you're feeling that, that's the time when you really swoop in and you're there for yourself, right? No.
Right.
That's the time when we put all this pressure on ourselves and we feel stressed. And I feel for you. We all have goals. I have goals too. Being here right now is actually the achievement of one of my goals. One of my goals was to build a hypnosis practice where people could come, and this would be a resource center for them. So people could come and learn how to live their best life, how to live a richer, more meaningful, happy, healthy, wealthy life. And that's happened. Here we are with people here in the room and people from around the country and some from around the world through the computer. And that's what we're doing. But it was really hard to get here. It was challenging. I remember when I was first trying to do this, my very first office was in my home, and I still to this day can't understand how people actually went to that office, because I was very much broke when I graduated from college, and I was living in this apartment that this church owned, and I could get it for really cheap because that's how much I could afford, really cheap. I could barely, a lot of times it was put the heat on or eat, because I was just really having a hard time with finances. I always made the joke that I would make clothes out of ramen noodles. If I got hungry, I'd eat a sleeve. Right? And I remember setting up this, I had one small little corner by the front door that was this small room, and I put a couch in there because I was going to school for clinical psychotherapy, so I had to have a couch like Sigmund Freud, because that's what you do. Right? And so I had this little couch, and I remember clients would come up these big creaky stairs to go in, and the house, it was horrible. It looked like it needed a paint. It looked like it was haunted. And of course, my first marketing plan was I took a piece of board, I don't even know what kind of board it was, and I got boat letters so that it would sparkle at night, and I put hypnosis and my phone number, and I nailed it to a tree. That was my first marketing. My first official marketing plan. And I remember some of these clients coming up the stairs just looking around like not sure what's going to happen, right? And but they made it in, and we do the sessions, and they were happy, and that's how I started out. And then I remember I had my first office, and I was scared to death because I thought, how am I going to ever afford this? And it was a lot of money for me, and I just hoped and I prayed and I did my best. And I saw some clients, but no matter what I did, I could not seem to get enough momentum going. And then I couldn't afford the rent. And then I was trying to create rapport with everybody, so I had rapport with the landlord, and she gave me 2 free months to try to get caught up, and I couldn't get caught up even then. And I lost it. And I had a big sign in the window, and I did all this stuff that people told me was supposed to work for marketing. And I was on a busy street, and it didn't. And so I lost that office. And I had to keep struggling. I had to keep figuring out ways. I found a scrapbook. My wife put together a scrapbook of all the last 15 years of the different things that I had done. And I was looking through there, and I was just laughing because of all that. They have pictures of me with a microphone in a basement wrapped up in a blanket with, and a boombox. And I was making hypnosis tapes, hypnosis cassettes in the middle of the night. Going, take another nice, slow, deep breath in. Working around the clock, cutting out labels to stick in the tape cases, printing out little labels to stick on there, and then of course they get a crease, and then I couldn't get off the tape, then I have to throw that away, which was killing me because that was, 50 cents. That was a lot of money, at the time, and so it was really all those struggles. And I think back to what it takes to be able to get through that, and how hard it can feel when you have a goal that's really important. It's a biggie. it means something to you, it matters to you, and how scary it can feel, and how exciting, and you can be filled with hope, and you can be filled with doubt, and have an equal balance of both. I remember so many times going, oh, I really want this, and then, oh, but I'm so afraid. Because what if it doesn't work out, and what if I fail? And of course, I would want these goals, but I wouldn't want to tell anybody, because I wouldn't want them to make fun of me, or I wouldn't want to actually find out that those worries and fears that I wasn't enough were true. So I was ruled by that fear that I wasn't going to be able to pull it off. But that's why I went to school for psychology, to figure that out. I wanted to know how to change that. So somebody like me, who was riddled with anxiety and worry and fear, could stop waking up in the middle of the night, could sleep soundly, could overcome their fear, could feel confident, could actually pull off all the stuff that I've read in those motivational books about people that went from rags to riches, or people that didn't have anything and how they found peace and calm and how they were happy. And I wanted to believe that could happen for me too. And so as I went through that journey, I had all the ups and downs, and I realized that from hanging out with people and going through their journeys, that they were feeling the same way I was feeling. It's like we're all in the same boat. Sometimes people put on a happier face than others, but we're still in our own head playing that game of what if. Playing with the what if monster. And it's so true. I heard a quote Alfred Hitchcock said, that when he was creating his movies, people were more afraid of the anticipation than the actual boom in the movie. And he would use that in his movies to create that suspense. Because he knew that the boom, you could handle it and be done with it. But the suspense of when it was going to happen, boy, he could ride you with that like a whole movie. It's like, oh my gosh. I always called that the monster in the closet theory, right? Where you're afraid there's a monster in your closet, and you go to open the garage, or the garage door, you open there's a monster in your garage. And you go to open the garage door, and all of a sudden your heart's pounding, and you're sweating, and you're thinking some bad thing's going to happen. Your imagination gets the best of you. And then you open up your garage door, and there's nothing there. But the anticipation is enough to keep most of us stuck, to keep most of us from ever trying to open that door, because we keep playing with the what-if monster. So how many of you can relate to this? Like everybody, right? Now some people have learned to manage that or handle that. I spent a lot of time asking people that willingly run into dangerous situations. So police officers, firefighters, military people, special forces, martial arts fighters, boxers. I've met a lot of people that have been clients, like, over the years, that were in those fields. And I would always ask them the same thing. How do you control that adrenaline dump? When that adrenaline hits you and your heart's beating and you've got a knot in your stomach and your hands are sweaty and you're scared to death, you get that tunnel vision, how do you control that and actively run into those situations? And they always say 3 things. Everyone says the same 3 things. Training, training, training. And when it comes down to it, they let their training take over. They've been trained, you do this, you handle this. You do this, you handle this. You stay resourceful, you stay calm, you look at what options are available. Even when bullets are whizzing over your head. You're training, training, training. So I focused on, where do I find this training? And I spent the last 24 years looking for the training and trying to figure out what the best stuff is, how to make it seem simple and easy, and then how to bring it to everybody else. So I always think that whenever I'm spending time with you, you hired me to go out and find the best stuff there is on how to feel calm, how to feel confident, how to be happy, how to feel successful, how to control what's going on in here, and instead of letting the what-if monster control us. Instead of letting our fears control us. We want to be the one that's driving the ship. Okay, so here we are, and I've got some cool stuff to share with you. Got some really cool things that we can talk about. One of the things that I came up with as I was driving here is I've been trying to figure out how to keep it really simple. And if somebody said if there was 3 things that you could do to really help you succeed in life, what would it be? And I came up with, well, you've got to build. Wait, what was the first one? You've got to believe, then build, then become. Believe, build, and become. And believe is about believing in yourself, no matter what. And that entails getting in control of those beliefs that are running us in our unconscious mind. and knowing what those beliefs are. I've coached a lot of people over the years, from all walks of life, from all around the world, and it turns out we have the same worries and the same hopes and dreams. Doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. We all want to feel loved. We want to feel validated. We want to have security. We want to know that we're going to be okay. We want to feel accepted. And we're all afraid of not having those things. Really, at the end of the day, there seems to be two fears, or two emotions, love and fear, and everything else is in the middle. And fear is just the absence of love. And so what we all want is love. And so when we're feeling stuck, when we're feeling blocked, you can almost always trace it back to some self-limiting belief, some fear that we have in our mind that's keeping us stuck. Now, for years, I always thought it was something out there that was keeping me stuck. You might have felt that way too. So I'll coach business people and they'll think, well, I just need that marketing plan. I just need that business plan. I just need that accountability. It's always, I just need the right resources. I just need more money. And we always think that it's something outside of us that's holding us back, when truly it's always inside of us. It's the worries, the fears, the conditioning from the past, beliefs that have been borrowed from others as we were growing up, that we suddenly have internalized and thought were our own beliefs when they weren't. They were just the beliefs of the adults around us who raised us. So we want to be aware of what those beliefs are. It's one of the reasons why I love hypnosis, why I became a hypnotist, is because hypnosis allows you to access somebody's library in their mind, access their computer, and get right to those self-limiting beliefs. You just got to ask the right questions, and your mind will take you right to what's really going on. You don't have to spend 10 years in psychoanalysis. Thank God, because I don't have the attention span to do that. I was trained to do it in school, but I couldn't sit there. If any of you, as you guys know me, I'm too hyper to sit there and go, I can't do that. Okay, so, but I can ask you questions that will help you to go right to the source inside of you that will allow you to uncover what those beliefs are and then show you how to change them. Create new resources inside that allow you to feel like you can do whatever you put your mind to. That give you the ability to realize that you're already enough and everything that you need to pull off your goals are already inside of you. Now you might need to cultivate that. It's like we have success seeds and they're already inside of us. We just got to get them in the ground. We got to plant them. Then we got to water them and give them sunshine. But we all have the seeds. So everything you have is inside of you. You might need to learn how to water them or sprinkle sunshine instead of clouds. But the success seeds are already inside of you. You just got to make sure that we're planting them, nurturing, and letting them grow so they take root, and then they can blossom into all kinds of extraordinary experiences for you. So accessing those limiting beliefs and changing them is at the core of anything you do, because the stronger you are in here, the more at peace you will be in here. You'll have a heart at peace instead of a heart at war. And when you feel at peace, then you can focus on helping others to experience the same. When you can feel really good about yourself, then you can spend the rest of your time helping others feel good about themselves. And that's really powerful leadership. Because the way to be really happy and fulfilled in life is to have a sense of contribution and a feeling of community, where you feel like you're making a difference, you feel like you're loved and you're loving others, you feel like you're connected with people, whether it's just a couple people or it's a whole bunch of people. That is way more fulfilling and satisfying than fame and fortune and status. There's a lot of really wealthy, popular people that are just train wrecks. And you'd think they have it all, and then they go and die because of an overdose or something else. Okay? And they have all the status and all the fame, but what they don't have is that clarity of mind, that sense of peace, that feeling of purpose, and that understanding of how to shine and then step back and help others shine. When we don't have that, what we have is insecurity and fear. So we're always trying to prove ourselves to ourselves or to others. We're always trying to chase the validation or approval of others. And it ends up causing us to feel like no matter what we do, it's never enough. And I had that for a long time. I would build things up and then they would seem to crumble. It's like building houses of cards. I would work real hard and then it would just fall apart, and that happened so many times. And I kept thinking, what's going on and what's wrong with me, and a part of that was accurate. What's wrong with me and what was wrong with me were my beliefs and my conditioning from the past. And I had to learn how to team up with coaches, mentors, go to classes and seminars, have experiences, get tools and support and help in how to shift that around, because I could not do it on my own, even though I had all that training in psychology. Supposed to be an expert in human behavior, but I still couldn't figure myself out. And I'll tell you, most of the other kids that were in the class with me, call them kids because we were in our early 20s then, but they were as much of a mess as anybody else, right? I remember this one girl, she was about to graduate the next week with her PhD in psychology, and she was bawling in the class because she was afraid to talk to anybody. And that's the expert in human behavior. Which is another reason why I ended up going more into the hypnosis and NLP and all the other peak performance strategies, because those peak performance strategies enable you to understand what's going on for real. And they allow you to really make some fast shortcuts. But even when you know that, and even when you create the transformation, you still have to reinforce it. You still have to reinforce it. Whenever we're working with anybody, and any of the team here that I've worked with and trained, we always talk about this being a two-step process. We're going to go in and we're going to help you rewire your brain, and then we're going to teach you, step 2, how to keep the rewiring in place. Because it's amazing how easy it can be for somebody to get from here, where they're feeling really good, to their car and have themselves completely talked out of the change. Well, I don't really think I was hypnotized this session, or I could hear people, or I just don't think this is going to work, and right away they're overriding everything. Instead of strengthening what they want, they're focusing on what they don't. When you build a garden, do you spend all your time watering the weeds? Be aware of how you answer that question. Because we have a mental garden in here, and what do you spend most of your time watering? Your weeds or the flowers? Because whatever you water is going to grow. So if you're being held back in any way, you are watering the weeds. You might, on the outside, be telling yourself all these affirmations, but on the inside, if you tell yourself, I'm a wonderful person, and then all of a sudden you swallow and or you feel tight inside, that's how you really feel. How you really feel is, maybe I'm not so wonderful, or you have all the baggage that comes up with that. And what we've got to do is we've got to go shift that. Change that at the core. So that when you give yourself your new affirmations, you actually believe it. So the first step is we've got to believe in ourselves and the power of our dreams. And something that I heard that I always thought was really great is you would never be given the idea of pulling off this dream without also having the ability to pull it off. So you won't have an idea of something that you really would like to cause in your life without also having the ability to make it happen. So step 2 is we've got to build it. Okay? So we believe in ourselves, then we've got to build. We've got to build ourselves, we've got to build our lives around that goal. Most of the time when you set a goal, how committed are you really? Are you the kind of person that will swim halfway across the lake and get tired and swim back? Are you the kind of person that'll just swim all the way across? Well, if you swam halfway across and you got tired, is it easier to swim back or easier to swim all the way across?
It's the same.
It seems like it would be the same, but it's not. Because a lot of people say, well, it's the same, and at least I know where I'm going to end up if I just retreat. But then you have the whole lake in front of you again. Some people just stop swimming. Bless you, they just sink. What we've got to do is take the advice of Dory from Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. Just keep swimming, swimming. Just keep moving forward. And as you keep moving forward, you will find your way. As Les Brown once said, when you're going through hell, don't stop. Just keep on going. Keep on going. So we've got to build ourselves. How do you build yourself? The first way you build yourself up is by creating an environment around you that's going to help support you. And you can do that by putting the right kind of people around you that are also going after their dreams, that are going to support you and believe in you, or you can get a coach or a pastor or a family member or anybody that will believe in you. So you get a support system. You get audiobooks or regular books so that you have a steady dose of positive information coming into your mind telling you you can do it. You pay attention to the kind of music you listen to or the movies you expose yourself to. Notice how they make you feel. Do they make you feel inspired and motivated? Or are they growing the weeds? So you surround yourself around people and situations that will rub off on you in a positive way. You're doing that right now. By being here online or by watching this live, you guys took time out of your lives to be here to recharge you. To do what Stephen Covey, a gentleman that wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you're doing habit number 7. And that is sharpen the saw. Don't just keep cutting with a dull blade. It takes twice as long and you end up exhausted. Sit, rest, sharpen the saw so you can get through, you're more productive, you achieve the goal faster and easier, and you feel exhilarated at the end of it instead of exhausted. But I know what it feels like to be exhausted trying to achieve your goals, right? How exhausting it can feel. How some days you feel like you worked your tail off and you got nowhere. But if you keep believing in yourself and you get around people that can support you, you will also pick up the resources that you might need to water those seeds inside. Because you already have the seeds of success inside of you. You just need to learn how to water them sometimes. If you're trying to build a house with just a screwdriver, it's going to be hard. But if you get access to other tools, other insights, other experiences from other people that have already been down that path, and you get excited about connecting up with them, then you will make progress. But instead of getting excited, when people get around others who have succeeded already, it makes them feel less than, or intimidated, or it causes them to lash out of jealousy or envy. So you're trying to lose weight and you see someone that just lost a bunch of weight and you're like, bitch. They have whole products called Skinny Bitch. Right? Kind of derogatory, I think. But it's an accurate depiction of what people are thinking inside. And if you're associating pain to them, do you think you're actually going to become like that? That's why most people have money problems. They think of the wealthy as, how do we describe people with money? Filthy rich, stinking rich, right? People misread the quote from the Bible that says, the wealthier you are, the more you're not going to get into heaven. So all these interpretations that are false, that just justify where we're at. I remember telling this joke. It wasn't the best. This is what not to tell. But I was at an Amway convention, right? I was one of the speakers for this Amway program, and I said, so there's this classroom, and there's this teacher, and she's going around, and they're in like 3rd grade, and she's going around, and she's saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? And what do you want to be when you grow up? And she says, all right, Sally, what do you want to be? And she says, I want to be a nurse. Oh, that's wonderful. And she says, hey, Frank, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Frank says, oh, I want to be an astronaut. Oh, that's wonderful. And she says, and Johnny, what do you want to be? Johnny, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Johnny says, well, let me clean this up. He says, I want to be a moron. Not the word that we use. Sorry, with ASS, which is why you shouldn't tell that joke there. Half the people laughed and the other people went, oh, you don't want to tell groaners. But anyway, he says, I want to be a moron. And she says, Johnny, don't talk that way. She says, now you think about what you want to be when you grow up. And he says, I know. And she says, now what do you want to be? And he says, I want to be a moron. And she says, Johnny, where'd you get that from? And he says, from my dad. She says, what do you mean? And he says, every time we go by a big house or we drive by a guy with a fancy car, he says, look at that moron. So, we have all these mixed associations in our mind. We all want money, right? Because we think that money is supposed to help us feel better. But what's the first thing we learn when we're a kid and we put a quarter in our mouth? Get that out of your mouth! It's dirty! And then you take it, the coin, you put it up on the mantle so you can still see it, you just can't get to it. We have all these weird associations that get hooked up inside of us. And unless you go in there and figure it out, it's going to control you. It's going to run you. Most people go about their day fully unconscious, just on autopilot. Have you ever been driving home and suddenly you're talking on the phone and you realize you're in the driveway and you have no idea how you got home? You ever had that happen before? You're like, how dare? So we want to be aware of what we're feeding our mind and who we're surrounding ourselves with so that they can have a positive impact on you, so that they can support you and help you believe in yourself even when you have those times when you don't believe it anymore and it's just too hard. Well, you did the planning in advance so that people can be there for you, so you can lean on them when you need to. They say that champions are not born in the ring, they're recognized there. Champions are made in the gym. Champions are made, on the court before anybody else ever gets there in the morning. They're there while everybody else went home at night. Michael Jordan says that I've got to practices before everybody else. I stayed later than everybody else. I trained longer and harder than everybody else. And that's why I'm the best. He trained. And I read a quote from, I forget his first name, Disraeli. He was a past prime minister for Britain, and he said that you must always be training so that when your opportunity arises, you're ready for it. Because there was plenty of opportunities that I had that I was not ready for it. I thought, oh, I'll be okay. And those opportunities were painful lessons. But I did learn a lot from them. And we can't avoid pain in this human life. But we can certainly learn from it. And we can also interpret what it means. We can use it to make us stronger, or we can be victimized by it. But be careful, because if you choose being a victim, victims have to always be victimized to be a victim. So you're literally just asking the universe to kick your ass. Whenever you start to go into having a self-pity party, you're just inviting it, and then it happens. So, but if something challenges you and you're able to roll with it, then you get through it easier. You end up learning a lot from it, and it can take you to somewhere else. A block can turn into a stepping stone that just keeps taking you wherever it is that you want to go. So we got to believe in ourselves. We got to build ourselves up. And then we become who we want to be. There's, do I have some blank paper here somewhere? I do right here. I'll use this. Let me show you this real quick. Thought this was clever. So, all right. You say this? Okay, good. All right, what's this say?
Impossible.
Impossible. That's right. And that's exactly how our goals feel sometimes, right? Impossible. How am I ever going to get here? All you have to do is make a little line. Now what's it say?
Impossible.
Does that change the meaning at all? It absolutely does. It just depends on where you put your emphasis. Triumph is a little bit of try and a lot of oomph. So it all depends on where you put your emphasis. If you go, this is impossible, it will feel that way, even if that idea is false. It will feel that way because feelings can lie. If people come in and they're like, yeah, but I just feel and I just feel. I don't care. Because that feeling could be totally false. What I care about is, but what are you thinking? Because the feeling or the thinking, the thoughts are what's driving the feelings. If we just deal with the feelings all the time, we'll never get anywhere. Change the thoughts and the beliefs that are driving those thoughts, and it'll instantly change the feelings. So where are you putting emphasis? So I know it gets hard sometimes, but when it gets hard, one of my favorite songs in the 80s was when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Right? And I was on the swim team, and it's another story. Okay? But that was a song that I always got fired up with. And because that's exactly what you do. The difference between a winner and a loser is that winner gets up just one more time. Just one more time. I saw Olympics, I think it was 4 years ago, where they had these two runners and they were lightning fast. And they got right to the finish line. And one person looked like this to see where the other guy was, and the other person leaned forward. Leaned in. This one was competing with everybody else. This one was competing with himself. He leaned into it. When your goals get hard, lean in. Lean into them. Be like a palm tree. God put palm trees by the ocean because they can bend all the way over without breaking. And every time they bend, it strengthens their roots. It makes their foundation stronger. Okay? So it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And you can use that to your advantage. And that's where we begin to become what it is that we want to be. Okay? And part of becoming what we want to be is having focus. Massive focus on what you want. I just saw this one too, so I'm going to write this down real quick. Give me 1 second, because this is good enough for me to look it up. It's not there. It's here. Okay, there it is. Talks amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Follow one. Four. Oh. Okay. Well, I'm making a mess here with this marker, but we're going to work it out. Okay? Remember, people, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just got to go for it. And I know for all the perfectionists in the room that don't accomplish much because it has to be perfect, all that does is make us stressed out. Okay? Because when you're saying it has to be perfect, what you're really saying is I have to be perfect. According to who? According to who? Yeah, according to yourself. But you were not born with that idea that you have to be perfect. That was a belief that got absorbed. No baby comes out of the womb going, must be perfect. No, that is a learned idea. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you, and you is enough already. You have nothing to prove. My favorite affirmations are, you are already enough. You have nothing to prove. You are already good. You are already whole. Everything is just for the experience. What could you accomplish if you could not fail? If you could only receive feedback? What could you accomplish if you weren't worried about failing? If you weren't worried about measuring up? What could you accomplish? What could you pull off? So, there's an acronym that I saw today for focus. For focus. The acronym is follow one course until successful. That's focus. Okay, you see that? Focus. Follow one course until successful. Now there's a time I would not have shown you this because of my sloppy handwriting. Now I don't care. And do you? No, you don't care either. But in my head you did. At that time, with my hallucinations, you cared. You were going to throw tomatoes at me or tell me that I'm worthless or something. I don't know what you were going to do. I just know I was afraid of it. That it was going to be bad, that you were going to leave me and I was going to end up alone in a corner and no one was going to love me. And that is how people feel, unfortunately. And that's just not right. Would any of you make a child feel that way? No. Then don't make the child that lives inside of you feel that way. So we want to make sure that we are believing in ourselves, that we're building up the resources that we need to become the person that we really want to be, and then to finally become that person, where you act as if you're already the way that you want to be. And as you begin to act as if you're this way, you start to think, feel, and behave in a way that causes it to come true. So do you have any questions? Any questions, thoughts, comments? Anything that's been causing hardship for you or a struggle that you can't seem to get through? I can give you some of our Geek Squad for the Brain techniques. Some cheat codes, little brain hacks that will help you to get over some of that stuff and help you to feel stronger, more confident, and more peaceful. So do you have any questions about any of this? Any comments, any feedback?
My brother, who's the youngest of the family, And all three of us have gone through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're earning this, through circumstances, economy, whatever, earning this.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the only one that has not been able to bounce back at all from that.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously associating pain to something about that and failure.
Well, go through the first two steps. So, is he believing in himself, and is he building himself up? And you'll find that it goes back to those things all the time. Where either he's not believing in himself, so he has those faulty beliefs that are keeping him stuck, and he's associated pain to moving forward. So he procrastinates and goes sideways, because even though it causes more pain in the moment, it takes pressure off. And then he's probably not hanging around a bunch of people that are really succeeding, is he?
Mm.
I know when I was having a hard time, I didn't want to go hang around successful people because I didn't want to feel bad about myself. So who did I go hang around then? Losers. That's right. I didn't say that. That's right. I was hanging around losers. Yeah, that's right. And then, of course, I became one. Now, those people weren't losers, but they were acting like they were. And so was I. And any time we start to have a pity party, anytime we get angry, anytime we get too busy to actually do something to achieve our goals, we're acting the role. We're acting the part of a loser. And so that's when you call yourself on it in a loving way and shift. That's when you use the tools and the strategies that you've picked up along the way. That's when you connect with your support system to give you a reality check or to give you support or to help you get through it in whatever way. And you set that up in advance so that it's there when you need it instead of trying to figure it out while you're in crisis. Because often when you're in crisis, it's hard to find what you're looking for because your brain is only finding more crisis. So, that was good. Good question, though. Other questions, thoughts, comments as you hear about this stuff? What else goes on inside of you? As I shared my story about feeling afraid and then learning how to overcome it, were you going inside of you and relating and having all these memories and thoughts and experiences going on inside of you? Yeah.
So what is your go-to tool when you're in that crisis mode? There's probably not just one, I understand, but what do you usually choose first?
The very first thing you want to do if you're in crisis mode and you need to get out of it is do what's called a pattern interrupt. A pattern interrupt, and that just means you interrupt the pattern. You have to change your response, and there's a million ways of doing that. The most common way is to go, whoa, hang on, and take a deep breath in, change the way you're holding your body, pause for a moment. So that in that moment you are choosing freedom instead of reaction. You literally become conscious and in the moment instead of unconsciously just responding or reacting based on old programs from the past. So you can do that by taking a deep breath in. You can do that by, I'm auditory, so I'm always talking to myself. So if I start to have negative thoughts, I'll literally go, wah, 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 wah. Okay. Or one of these, or in our master class, wah, 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 right, yeah. Okay, where we start to break our own pattern. Sometimes, people will start to swear, but you got to make up the cuss words. Okay, so, are you kidding me? Shut the front door. I heard my mother-in-law say that one time. You got to be kidding. Oh, shut the front door. And I had my 5-year-old walking around. All they going, shut the front door. Shut the front door. I'm like, what is wrong with the front door? So,
how about this one, Tim? Oh, you can just go to pieces.
Yeah, go to pieces. That's right.
My grandmother used to always say, got down, sunk in a ditch.
We're going to have to stop there. But you see, you're using humor, and you'll crack yourself up. Sometimes saying it out loud, what you're thinking inside, saying it out loud, and then hearing yourself say it, you're like, oh my gosh. So you spill a little coffee and you're like, I should have never been born! You're like, whoa! I just spilled coffee. It's okay if I was born. But we'll go in our head, we'll take it to a whole other level because we're fighting back and forth and going around things and ruminating, getting ourselves all animated. Then we'll be telling stories and talking about it. And she said this and she said this and all getting into it. And then when we talk about feeling good, we're like, oh yeah, well, I won an award today. And, we had world peace and it was all right. But you won't believe what happened while it was lunchtime. And we put all our energy and our emotion into watering the weeds. And most people have no idea they're doing it. Which is why you have to do the building part. Part of that is building awareness. Building awareness around what's actually going on inside of you. Because I'm telling you, most people are fully unconscious of what's going on. They have no idea how they're responding. They have no idea how they're coming across to others. All they know is they don't like their results. But they don't realize that they're the problem. When we're stuck in life, we're the problem. And a lot of times that's too painful for people to say, oh, it's me again. Because of our guilt and our shame and our worry and our fear. But when you shift through that and get back into love and peace, you find your way out. So, doing it through humor, changing the way that you're holding your body, doing a power pose and looking up, which is not what you want to do when you're mad. When you're scared, maybe, but you're freaked out or you're trying to do it, but the whole time you're thinking this isn't going to work. When you're angry, it's even harder to break the pattern because anger feels powerful and it gives us instant certainty, which is what we're looking for. Most of the time when we go to anger, it's because we feel uncertain and out of control. There's too much variety happening in our lives, and we're looking for some way to feel safe and secure. And anger allows you to feel safe and secure because you now know how you feel and usually who you're mad at. So it creates certainty. And so when people get used to getting mad, then it's because they're trying to find a way to get certain. But it's a very toxic way. It eats you up inside. But it's more empowering than fear or sadness. See, I would go into fear and sadness. I'd have to get pushed really hard to go into anger. And then when I went into anger, then whatever happened, then I'd end up feeling scared and sad again. There was this endless loop. So it just didn't help. It didn't work. No matter how mad you get and how much you let it out, you end up, if you don't have the peace and the love part of it, then you just end up having to fill up with the anger again, over and over and over. Some people make the mistake of thinking that when they get angry, that's when they get stuff done. Like some kind of a weird catalyst, but that's a horrible idea. There's much better ways to get in the flow. So just keep that in mind. The times when you need to shift are going to be the times when you don't want to. People will be doing well in their program, they have some crazy thing happen in their personal life and they stop coming here when they should come here more. It's like I always use the metaphor of somebody's drowning and I throw them a life preserver and they smack it away and they say, get that away from me, can't you see I'm drowning? Well, no shit. That's why I threw you the life preserver. Okay? Grab a hold of it so I can bring you in and we can figure this out together. So we can figure it out together instead of floundering by ourselves until we drown. Yes?
So if a power pose isn't the best way to shift out of anger, what would be a good way to shift out of anger?
Well, one of the ways you can shift out of anger is you can ask yourself questions. So you can ask yourself, what would I have to believe in order to feel this way? What do I have to believe is true in order to feel this anger right now? And then you keep with that same question. Well, what else would I have to believe is true, and what else? So, if someone's really angry, and you're really mad, and you're like, all right, well, what? I don't want to, this is stupid, but what would I have to believe in order to feel this feeling? Well, I have to believe that everybody's an idiot. This whole world is stupid. Okay, and what would I have to believe in order to feel like this whole world is stupid? Well, I'd have to believe that people are selfish and they don't care. And what would I have to believe in order to feel that way? Well, I'd have to believe that, that the people don't really change. And what would I have to believe then? Well, I have to believe then that I'm not going to ever change because I'm reacting this way again. And then what would I have to believe? Well, I'd have to believe that I'm not good enough. Okay, and then what would happen? But then what happens, see? You've shifted from anger, but you're starting to get down to what your real core belief is. And the real core belief is going to be something like, I'm not good enough, or I've been disrespected, or somebody doesn't care, or I'm not being loved right now, or I'm not being accepted right now. And if we're not feeling that peace inside, then we're not going to be able to see the peace outside of us. You know people where they never give themselves compliments, and when you try to compliment them, they bat it away, right? I always know when somebody's not nice to themselves, because I'll give them a compliment, and they'll bat it away. People that bat it away are uncomfortable taking that because they don't give themselves compliments. So it feels like you're patronizing them, or you want something from them, so you're buttering them up first before you stick it to them. And that's just a mistrusting person. And mistrusting people, the first person they mistrust is themselves. Because the world is really like a mirror, and what you see out there is what's happening in here. And so, learning how to build trust, self-love, self-connection. The very first book I ever wrote was from all the stories and experiences of being in that apartment with that little couch with all those clients. It was called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do, because everybody was coming in going, I just don't know what to do. And I said, well, here's what to do. Oh. And it was a guide. It was, how did I say, a real long subtitle. But it was What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do, a guide for developing self-love, self-discovery, and self-acceptance. Because that's what I was doing with everyone. Doing these self-discovery tools, finding that we had to create acceptance and love. We had to have forgiveness, let go of grudges, and have the sense of peace inside. And we all have those things. We all have things that we've gone through that has created mixed emotions and feelings and beliefs. Some beliefs you have are great, they serve you well. Some of them are not so great. They don't serve you so well. And we need to have a garage sale and donate that BS, belief systems. Okay, just donate it and send it away. All right? So those are a few things you can do. Changing your body, changing your physiology, changing your focus by the questions you ask yourself, doing a pattern interrupt, by doing something funny or stepping back, or changing the words that you use. So if you're always getting mad, for the next week, don't say the word mad. Say peeved. Or tingled. I am so freaking tingled. It just doesn't work, does it? Every word has a chemical response and an emotion attached to it. Every single word you use. And unfortunately, out of the 4,000 words that describe emotions in the English language, 3,600 of those words describe negative emotions. Well, we only have 400 words that describe the positive, but we've got 400 words. So pick a better one. If you're walking around going, you know, I just got bitch slapped again by life, they're going to have a feeling about that, right? You know, if you say, well, there's God tickling my armpit again, you're going to have a different experience. And the trick is to get yourself to commit to doing that for a week and finding out what really happens. If you change the words you use to describe your life, it will change your life. If you change the words that you use to describe your life, it will change your life. If you start using more empowering words and more empowering language, what we call transformational vocabulary, if you start using more empowering words, it's going to change how you think and how you feel and how you behave. So if you walk around all the time saying the same couple of phrases, which people do, because we are very much on autopilot. So we'll say the same things under pressure. Under pressure, I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. Instead of busy, I used to walk around saying, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, which would make my eyeballs spin in my head. So now, I like to say I'm in demand. Or my friend Dawn, she said I'm engaged, right? Or I'm active. Engaged and active and in demand sounds better than busy and overwhelmed and flipping out, right? So those are some things that you can do that are quick, that are simple, that are easy, that are fast, and just decide you're going to try it out for 7 days. You can do anything for 7 days. So try it out for 7 days and see what happens. It could be enough to just make you never want to go back to that old way. Yes?
Tim, I've been thinking a lot recently about transformational language, and something I noticed just recently is you can actually feel it I was talking to someone a while back, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to be working for a long time to solve this issue." And I thought to myself, or you could just say, I'm gonna get this done by Tuesday. And if all of you just try that, just pick something up and say it to yourself, something negative, and just change a couple words, you can actually feel something happen inside. And it's just the most stunning thing. But once you go, ooh, I like that. So it's a compelling reason to use that tool.
Absolutely, that's excellent. Thank you. Yeah, shifting the words that you use and to describe things. Sometimes, if you can't figure out how you want to feel, just think how you don't want to feel, and then say the opposite. I don't want to feel stress. What's the opposite of stress? I don't know. Calm. Okay. I want to feel more calm. Now your word here, your mind here is calm. I was at a convention today, and somebody said, "Don't forget to go to my booth. Don't forget to go to my booth." I said, "I already forgot."
Yeah.
Remember to go to my booth. Remember to go to my booth, not don't forget. Okay? So when people say, "I just don't want to procrastinate," or "I just got to lose this weight," those phrases cause you to keep the weight. It causes you to procrastinate. So that was an excellent tip. So shifting those, the way that you're saying those things to yourself, shifting the words, and then noticing that it changes the way that you feel, because it does. Yeah.
I have people ask me, well, I always try to build a little rapport with the checkout girl or whatever, because I know they have a rough time.
Sure.
Rough time. And they say, well, how are you today? I said, I'm fantastic. Oh, you are? Yeah, I refuse to have a bad day. And I feel a lot better about myself when I say that. But I went through lymphoma 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're bald-headed and you don't feel real good, any day's a fantastic day if you're still alive.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, as I hear him saying, Kiwanis, any day above ground is a good day. Yeah. If I need to have a pick-me-up, I ask Bill how his day's going. Bill is my new Carl. When I was 18, I was selling vacuum cleaners door to door. Of course, they were home cleaning systems. Okay. I'd walk in and Carl would say, and his dad founded this company. They were millionaires, and here I am, this insecure, cocky kid, and he's like, "Tim, how you feeling?" I'm like, "Whatever." "No, how you feeling?" "Fine." He says, "No, you're fantastic." And he used to do that all the time until it caught on. Until I'd walk in, "Tim, how you doing?" "I'm fantastic." "How you doing, Carl?" "I'm fantastic." He was one of my first real teachers in that way, and I didn't even know it. But I talk about him all the time. Now I do that with Bill. I say, "Bill, how you doing?" "Couldn't be better. If I was any better, I would, and then I don't want to say the rest, but she's going, "What does he say?" I made that up. Yeah, no. But he's always saying something that's just so positive. "Oh, well, we were in a store the other day, and someone says, 'How you doing?' He says, 'Best day of my life.'" And the guy was like, "Wow. Wow." I'm like, that's what it's all about. Best day of my life. That's fantastic. And what if every day was the best day of your life? You know how it would be? If you said it was. Do you walk around telling yourself it's the best day of your life? No. So why do you think you should feel that way? It's like sitting in Walmart, furious because you're not in Target. Did you drive to Target? No. But I'm supposed to be in Target. But you drove to Walmart. I don't care. Doesn't matter. And that's what we do in our head, isn't it? I should be this and this and this. Do you say that? Do you speak it? Do you write it out down? Do you put it on paper? Do you tell people that? No. Well, then why do you think you should deserve it? You can have it, but are you claiming it? Said that Zig Ziglar. You got to name it to claim it. You got to name it to claim it. So we want to make sure that we're using our vocabulary and we're using the words that cause the feelings, that create the behaviors, that then allow you to have the experiences, that generate the feelings. Because at the end of the day, what we're searching for are feeling states. And instead of going through this big loop, if you were to just choose your words more carefully, then all of a sudden you will experience the feelings that you want to feel now. Now, right now. And the best way to attract whatever you want is to feel that way, as if you want to feel the same way you would feel as if you already had that thing. Generate the feelings in advance, and it's like this vibrational energy that's a magnet that draws it to you because you're vibrating at the same level. That's what the law of attraction is really about, at a quantum level. It's about vibrating at the same level. But you can't vibrate here asking for this. You got to vibrate where it's at. Does that make sense? So, does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And there's lots of other things that you can do as well, but those are the ones that come to mind. So, I got time for one more question. Yes?
Why did you bring that blackboard up there?
Oh. Well, in case I ran out of stuff to talk about. This blackboard we use and thanks, John. The blackboard, because it matched my tie. The blackboard, we were doing a master NLP training, because I love teaching neuro-linguistic programming to people, because it just reveals the hidden world that most people are not aware of. And all of a sudden you see this invisible world that you can use in such beautiful ways, but most people don't even know they're in the middle of it. So, but how do you change human behavior? How do you start to influence people? And I broke it down. Thought, all right, what do I do when I meet someone for the very first time? What's going on in my head to be able to get them from where they want to be, or from where they are to where they want to be? How do I close that gap as quickly as possible and show them how to keep it? Okay, and so first thing I do is I start by listening for the beliefs that they have. I'm paying attention to what they're saying and what they're not saying, and picking up what we call the presuppositions, or what they're not saying it, but the comments that they make assumes that something else is true. So why don't things ever work out for me? What I'm hearing is the belief they have that things never work out for them, which is false. I could just challenge that by going, never? Never works out for you? Did you have a plan on getting here today? Yeah, here you are. Oh! That worked out. But we have these beliefs in there, so we got to change the beliefs. I'm also paying attention to how they're saying things as well. Then I'm looking for pain and pleasure. Pain and pleasure are the two driving forces of human behavior. Everything we do is an attempt to avoid pain or gain pleasure. And so I'm noticing how they've associated pain and pleasure. So people say, I want to lose weight, but I love to eat and I hate to exercise. Well, good luck. Because it's wired in there. Okay, it's wired in there. I want to get out of debt, but I just love to shop. Well, they've got pain and pleasure reversed, and we have to shift that and teach them how to keep that shift in place. Then I'm watching for the recipes. The recipes are, what are they focusing on? How are they holding their body? What are they saying to themselves, and how are they saying it to themselves? Tony Robbins calls it the triad. Because when you are in a positive, strong state, like you feel confident, you're focused on what you want, your body language is expanded, you're saying things like, yes, or I can do it. And that is your success-apy. And when you're like this going, that's your stress-apy. Okay? So we have these little recipes, and I know that if I just change one thing, like if you're feeling down and I get you to look up, you'll feel better. If you're like this and I get you to go like this, you'll feel better. Okay? So changing the recipes, the way that they're holding their body. Then I'm looking at their environment, what's supporting them and what isn't supporting them. And then finally I start to notice what kind of needs are they trying to meet. We have 6 human needs. The first one is the need for certainty. We want to feel safe. The second one is the need for variety. We want, if we always knew everything was going to be the same way, we'd be bored. So we have a need for variety. It gives us the spice of life. We have a need for significance, where we want to feel like we matter and we're special and we stand out. But we also have the fourth need for love and connection. So, we want to make sure that we feel like we're a part of the group as well. And then we have the 2 spiritual needs, the need for growth, personal growth, and then contribution, giving back, building community. So we're always being driven by those needs. And when in the beginning, when I was trying to prove myself, I was run by the need for certainty and significance. I needed to make sure everything was going to be okay, so I was a little bit of a control freak. I had to micromanage everything. And my significance, I always made it about me. Even if I was trying to make it about somebody else, it ended up being about me because I had to somehow matter. I had to learn how to shift from significance to love and connection so that I could make it about you. When it was only about me, I would build things up and then they would crumble. when I was able to finally go through the transformation and feel at peace inside and know that I was okay no matter what, then I could fully make it about you. And that's when I started to build things, and then they stayed. And then got bigger. And then other people would help me build them. And I didn't even ask for it. It was just happening. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And now we're just building and becoming and watching everybody else shine. Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough other people get to where they're going, they'll help you get to where you're going. Because you can't put yourself at the top of a pyramid. And my pyramid, I want it to be upside down. I want to be like this and watch everybody else at the top. Because in my mind, I've already arrived because I'm living my dream right now with you. So thank you for helping me to live my dream. I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you being here. This is amazing because you guys are characters in my movie of this dream that I'm having, and I'm a character in your movie. And your movie can be a dream that has a message, or it can be a warning. And we want to make sure that we're living our life as though it is a dream. Okay? And dreams have bumps here and there. But as we continue to reach for the stars, you know, we reach for what we want. And I always say, shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you're still among the stars. And that's how I want it to be. One of my favorite quotes that I like, and I'll wrap up with that, is that in the game of life, the goal is not to avoid the storms, but to learn how to dance in the rain. Okay?